just really to honor Brion. I've seen him behind the scenes, and how much love he has for this church and how much love he has for people is undeniable. And I mean, we all have issues, right? But he is continually humbling himself and asking for just, how do I say this?
Exactly. Say whatever you want to say. I'm loving it. You can say whatever you want. It's great.
I know there's been accusation against him, even from me, everybody. He's the leader of church, so of course it's going to come, you know. Standards high. In all of our hearts, the enemy does that, you know, tries to get us to cause division in the church. But the accusation against him is pride and self-righteousness, and it doesn't matter. I'm gonna get list them all, but not that there's many. But he has continued to humble himself, and that's why we submit to him, because we've seen that. This is my testimony to you guys, that he is a man that humbles himself over and over and over again. And that's what you need as a leader, not the way they're performing, because it's good, it's easy to perform, you know, but when you see behind the scenes like I have. Anyways, that's just to encourage you and all of you guys, if there's anything in your hearts, bring it to God, because imagine if you're up here doing this, how well would you do, you know? You may do pretty well, maybe, but there's still some stuff that you can be accused with from the enemy. So extend grace, receive grace, and that will be good.
Come on. Wow. So you guys, with them going to Hawaii, this was straight up miraculous. Like, oh my goodness. And I just want to tell you this. Like, Bo loves Kairos so much that it literally, I'm just going to expose this because it's beautiful. She did it to me. I'm going to do it too. So, Bo, seriously, like, he was to the point where he was like, you know what? I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to turn down going to Hawaii. Because he got this, because he works for the Air Force, and the Air Force is like, hey, we have this thing in Hawaii for you. He's like, what? And he's like, you know what, I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to turn it down. Like, Kairos, that's priority. We're going to do this. And so he like tested the waters. He just like he told Katie and I, and we were both like, that's amazing. You should totally do it. He's like, really? And so he told us the other night, he's like, that's really what like brought this to like a 100% no to like a maybe this could be the thing, you know? And so so this is even healing for them, because they're such servants. If you don't know the Brandons, they're such servants. It's amazing. And I mean, think about that. Think about your family. You'd literally get a promotion and at the same time go to Hawaii for 4 months and you would lose nothing. Who wouldn't be like, you know what I mean? And for him to be like, no, man, I want to serve Kairos. I want to be, you know, I want to stay involved with this community like hardcore day to day. Isn't that amazing, you guys? Yeah, so we're like sending them to Hawaii with blessing, and you know what? Like, they're not going to Mars. I already talked to them like, dude, anytime you want to preach, we're still gonna be feeling this out. Like, just do a thing, you know, like just make sure you're in some beautiful spot, you know, like hang out on the beach or something. You're like, hey, Kairos, good morning, or whatever, you know. Anyway, isn't that great? Yeah. I just wanted to say that. Okay, so one more. So Katie kind of did it off like just like a little like, and then, but I just want to say this. You know, every once in a while we send someone out. They have a very clear mission. Sometimes we send them, we have 2 right now in Mongolia. By the way, Isaac and Margot, they're already out of all of those Bibles they went to do, and yesterday they preached to 1,800 people. So they're doing a lot in Mongolia. Like, they say that everyone they talk to is just, God has just primed this entire region. Everybody wants the gospel. All these people are getting saved every single day. It's like they can't, it's like they want to go home, but it keeps happening. So they're like, what do you do? You know, okay, I will sow some sleep, you know, and just keep going. And so they've actually been asking that we would pray the Bibles would multiply, simply because they're running out. And so, you know what I mean? It's really incredible. Like, that's what God is doing. And those are those moments that God loves to show up. You know what I mean? In those crazy ways. So we send people out. Well, we send out our best. There's people that are very dear to us, that are very integral, very pillar for us as a family in Kairos. And we sent out Laban to the Air Force. We blessed him and launched him out, and he's been in the Air Force, and he's back. He's just back like today. Do you picture her saying something, or do you just want us to just clap and love on you? It's up to you. I don't care. I don't want to put you on the spot. If you didn't picture it, it's okay. But we just love you so much, and we're so glad you're home. Do it, man. Do it.
Yeah! That's the first time I've hugged him or talked to him that very moment. So, yeah.
Oh God. Hi.
Hey! What's up?
I don't really have a lot to say right now, but God is real. And He's amazing, and He's all you need. But I missed you guys so much.
Yeah!
Been just crying in the back, hugging people, getting their shoulders wet. Yeah, I just miss you guys a lot. God did so much stuff, and I'm sure it'll come out with conversations and everything, but I feel like I'm swimming in a giant ice cold glass of water.
So good.
I love you guys so much, and feel free to come hug me
Yes!
and say you love me.
We love you, man.
We love you, man. Wow. If you love Layla on the count of 3, just say it. 1, 2, 3.
I love you!
Oh, welcome home, man. Holy joinks. Okay, so, is Megasaurus here?
No.
Okay, that's okay. All right, I got 3 things. Number 2. You guys, this is gonna be so random. Is it being recorded right now? It is.
I just gave you your phone.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, no, I mean, right there. Okay, so does anyone here, this doesn't need to be recorded, but it doesn't matter. Does anyone here really like the show Parks and Rec?
Yes.
A lot. Okay, now keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Keep your hand up if you would actually like a piece of memorabilia associated with it. Oh man, this is hard. Okay, wow. Oh
I'm being
man.
honest, but I will bless someone.
Okay, Jared, you have both hands up. So come up here. So now listen. So this is a book called Pawnee, the Greatest Town in America. But hold on, wait, it gets better. So what you don't know probably is Amy Poehler actually toured the nation as Leslie Knope and signed it. And so here you go. Amen. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Hours of fun right there. Hours of fun. All right. Okay. That's good. I wanted Megasaurus here, Megan Jessie, call her Megasaurus, because she's learning German, and I just had these old school German learning cards. One more thing. Okay.
Where did you get that?
I mean, I'll just tell you later. It's good. I know stuff. Okay. So all right. How many of you have not received a text from me and been entered onto the WhatsApp chat group about us reading through this? Oh, let me rephrase that. How many are planning on reading through this and haven't received that from me? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, great. Okay, you know who you are. I need you to send me a text tonight or tomorrow. I did tell the group we're going to start last week, so we're going to start this week. So this week we're reading chapter 1. Okay? If you guys want to jump on, this is exposition of Romans chapter 3 through 4, Atonement and Justification by Martin Lloyd-Jones, because we're jumping into solid doctrine for some people that need it. I'm in. Amen. All right. Is that good? Is that good, you guys? Awesome. We're still recording, right? We're trucking on down the line, getting recorded. Hallelujah. You guys, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to jump in. Before I do, I'm going to airdrop you, if you have iPhones, the notes. Please don't read ahead. As per usual. All right. Okay. So pull out your iPhones if you have them. Turn on your airdrop to everyone, not contacts only, even if you think you have my contact. Nora, Dean, Katie, Caleb, Talitha or Talitha, beautiful name. Amy, Mary Poppins, thank you for changing it back. Stacy, Imogen, Siri McFooney, whatever. Labesies, I know who that is. Aw, Christina with an exclamation mark. Awesome. Okay, it's coming to all of y'all. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? John Paul, I don't see it yet. Carla, it's coming to you. Don't read ahead.
He's in the back.
Aiden, it's coming to you. JP, I see you right there. Jennifer, it's coming to you. Karen, it's coming to you. JP, you should be any second right now. Come on. Hey, you know, the last shall be first, JP. The last shall be first. All right. Christianese jokes. Okay. Let's see here. John, there you are. You're right there.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite scenes of any comedy movie is in Austin Powers when he's walking through the casino and he looks at the guy and he's like, there you are! And the guy's like, do I know you? He's like, no, but that's where you are. You're right there. Just funny. Okay, so, just funny. Mercedes, I do not see you yet. Bradley, it's coming to you. Mystical almond rancher you. Or, I'm sorry, walnut rancher you. He's like, almonds? Get a rope. Okay, so, all right, we're Zachary, it's coming to you. Do you guys remember that Pace commercial a long time ago? This just made in New York City. That was great, that was great. Okay, all right. Carla, it still says it's waiting for you. Don't worry about it. There's no expectations, only freedom. Life, it's waiting for you. No expectations, just freedom. Okay, we're done. All right. So if you didn't get it, share with your neighbor. It didn't show up. I don't know why. All right. All right, you guys. I'm going to pray. I might not even get to this as per freaking usual, but we'll see. Okay. All right. Lord Jesus. Wow. Lord Jesus, your freedom, your grace, your mercy, what you've brought, why you came, what you have us in, whether we see it or not, whether we agree with it or not, or whether we have experienced it or not. These things that you have available to us, that you have us in the middle of. God, I ask that you would break that veil. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. How many of you know that you can be, I'm actually starting now. How many of you know that you can actually be in the center of a call of God? You can actually be in the center of what He's called you to do or be, and you don't need to actually know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you could be fully operating in it.
Yeah.
Case in point, John the Baptist. He didn't know that he was actually Elijah who was to come. He actually told the Pharisees when they asked, who are you? He said, no, that's not me. Only for Jesus to show up later after John had died and said, actually, if you can accept it, he was actually Elijah who was to come. John didn't even know. So I'm just letting you know, we don't have to spend so much time trying to understand necessarily all the borders and boundaries and ceilings and walls of what we're doing. Let's just walk in freedom and explore.
Yeah.
Is that good? That's the point. All right. Just hoping that lands. All right, good. So if you're new to Kairos, I'm going to tell you a few things. Number one, we explore mature doctrine. What I mean by that is things that aren't milk. Now, I mean, we're going through milk. We're going through atonement, justification. We don't throw it out. But what I'm saying is the things we preach here, you really, and the things we walk out in here, and the things that we are experimenting with and seeing fruit from, you really need to understand the grace of God.
Yeah.
You really do. If you don't understand the grace of God, and I'll be more specific, let me rephrase that. If you think that anything you hear from a pulpit, you have to try to create a rule out of it, and then try to make a rule about other people that aren't doing that, you don't understand the grace of God. That's number one. Number two, what I don't mean is just everything's true. That's not what I'm saying. By the way, if you think that's what I was saying, you probably don't understand the grace of God. And number three, we are exploring areas in the kingdom based on His love for us and His acceptance. And you know, I tread on really, I I say things that I know I could say better, but I would have to apologize for it, and I refuse to do that. So I just say things that sometimes people just get stumbled by. I would recommend asking me what I meant instead of assuming something. That's number one.
Good.
That is good.
Right? And that leads to a couple of these, but one of them is policy. Whatever our policies are, like, well, if somebody says this, then I'm just cutting them out of my life, brother. Or whatever. Policy, you can take this to the bank every single time. Policy is poison when it takes the place of a relational conversation.
That's so
good
good.
too.
Every time. How many of you have ever worked in a cubicle environment? Raise your hand. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. One person eats somebody's yogurt, and all of a sudden there's signs everywhere. If you don't eat your food, we're going to throw it out tomorrow. And you're like, oh, Jesus. Like, how about this? Just talk to people? I don't know. Like, hey, did you eat my yogurt? And if somebody says yes, be like, I can bring you one. I can just bring you some yogurt every day if you want. Wouldn't that be way better than like passive-aggressive, cynical signs everywhere? And in the same way, in our own heart, if you hear something you think doesn't vibe with what you already believe, so you think it's blasphemy, ask the person what they meant. And then if it's blasphemy, well then do whatever you need to do. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're all, I do believe all religions go to the exact same place. Okay, well then if that's the case, then man, you know, like there's some other things that maybe we need to talk about. But I say things like this, especially lately. I say my fight is not against religions. That's not my fight. Even my disagreements. See, that's one of these things that I'm saying right now, that you'd have to ask me what you meant by it. My fight, my war isn't against other religions. That's not my role. That's not my job. That's when people have enmity in their heart, they're looking for the battle. I don't need that. What I need to do is show people the surpassing worth and glory of being baptized by the blood of Christ, propitiating their sins. They become new creations, and all of a sudden, they're no longer of an ethnic group, of a culture group, of a religion. They're a new creation.
Yes.
I know people that literally still identify as, like in other nations especially, like, yeah, I'm a Buddhist, and you're like, okay, but they're going to a Christian church. And yet, when you start talking to them about Jesus, they're like, oh, he paid for my sins, like he's ruling and reigning in heaven. And I'm like, man, however you need to work that out, that's fine. But like, for us, it gets closer to like the rules. Dude, if somebody has Christ and the fruit of the Spirit is evident in their life, and they know that he paid for their sins, then if they're still like off here doing something whatever, like, dude, I'm over here saying, I'm with you, Lord. What are you doing in their life? Sometimes the last thing that person needs is, I'm talking about new believers, but even if it's old believers, I don't care. But I'm specifically talking about new believers right now. A lot of the times, this is just a commercial, I haven't even gotten to my message. Like I said, I might never get to it. A lot of the times, we can get to the place where we get so caught up knowing that we're justified and free that we start doing minor tweaks in our own life, which is important. That's what sanctification is, getting used to the fact that you're unpunishable in the blood. And that you're accepted in the beloved no matter what. That's what sanctification is. That's what the blood afforded. If you disagree with the gospel, I would love to have that conversation. So probably about 80% of this room. But here's the deal. What happens is we get so close to our own experiences, the tyranny of the human heart is when we start punishing people for not having our experience. You know what I'm talking about. You ever heard an evangelist preach? I love evangelists. I'm an evangelist at heart, okay? Like, I love the evangelist, okay? Really. You want to add life to the church? Get a bunch of evangelists in your church. But you know what life does to people that just want to sit and do nothing? And like, you know what a raging river does to a stagnant pond? It stirs everything up.
Yep.
You know what the evangelist does in a room where people just want to have the same thing happen every day? They offend that room.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the same way, but on the opposite, the evangelist, a lot of the times, or the prophet, or the pastor, or the apostle, or just a businessman, or the mechanic, or whatever, a lot of the times we can get so close to our own experience and what we have personally learned from that experience that we actually look down upon, or we can actually ridicule or even condemn or shame other people for not approaching life the way we do. I'm only talking about revelation we've had, okay? I'm not saying, well, I'm not talking about religion, and I'm definitely not talking about subverting the blood of Christ or making that unimportant. I'm saying this, that we can get so caught up in our sanctification. I'm like, dude, I know I'm saved. I know I'm delivered. I was forgiven of all past, present, and future sin. God, that's scandalous and amazing. Oh, wow. So then, oh my God. So then, what happens is then I can do this. So God, now that I know that, I want to get closer with you. I want to align myself with what you align with. I want to hate what you hate and love what you love. I want to see things in my life big that you think are big, and I want to see things small in my life that you think are small. I want to confuse the two and all these things, and pretty soon we get really into behavior modification personally, which is great. Do it. Awesome. Stop killing people if you're doing that, you know? It's like behavior modification is great, you know? Personally. What happens is then we get into that mode. New believers come into church, and we think the very first thing we need to do is get them to stop smoking within 5 days, and you need to stop cussing, and that needs to happen. And pretty soon, that's not the good news, okay? The good news isn't you can come to a room and you get all these rules. Now, sure, those rules might bring joy long term. Sure. Maybe they might stem the bleeding of pain and hurt. But that, a lot of the times, what we can do is we can think control is love if we approach our own heart in the same way.
Wow, that's good.
Awesome.
I'll say that again. We can think control is love if we approach our own hearts in the same way. You've heard me say this a million times. I'm going to say it a million more, maybe a billion more. You will motivate others the way you motivate yourself in the secret, untouched places of your heart every time there's nothing you can do about it. If you're like, I want to love everybody else, but I condemn myself to motivate myself, you're going to condemn other people.
Yep.
You know why? It's because you wouldn't be doing it for yourself unless you saw that as the highest place. And that's why when you love people, you bring them to what you think is the highest place. That's why. There's nothing you can do about it. You value that way. And you will value it to everyone or onto everyone that you steward. Is that good?
Yeah.
I mean, at least you understand that. I don't know what I'm saying. Is the thing good? I'm saying, is that good? Like, are you tracking with me?
Yes.
If you don't believe me, live a couple more years and pay attention. When you're a mom, talking to the moms, y'all. I'm sorry, I don't know why. Okay, because I'm days in a fast right now, and I'm just saying, like, for some reason, I'm in that moment where, like, you saw me a couple weeks ago. I was lit. It was like I drank 18 cups of coffee, and I hadn't eaten for like 6 days. I was like, I was up, you know, yeah. That's starting again. So I'm trying to stay here, but all of a sudden a movie quote will show up and whatever. Anyway. Wow.
When you're a mom.
Man, I know I got you. I'm just trying to land the plane there. Right?
Because I'm a mom.
Woo, yeah. So here's for all the moms in the room or women that will become moms. What happens is we think the greatest love is when somebody doesn't experience pain. Now, what I want to say is just removing everything out of someone's life that could possibly cause pain, you're removing life from them.
That's really good.
Once again, movie quote. But there was a moment where, like, I don't want anything to happen to them. And the person's like, but if nothing ever happens to them, then nothing will ever happen to them. Right?
That is true.
And I'm not going to get into the difference between dads and moms. What I want to say is this, is how we motivate ourselves or motivate others. Okay, fine, I'll go dads. Just for a second, I'll do that. For the mom's sake. For the mom's sake. Look, if you're motivated in your own life to avoid pain because you've been hurt so much that you just want to avoid it, you want to get rid of everything that can ever hurt you, you're going to put that on your kids. But they never went through what you went through. You're just being tyrannical. and controlling. But when that language shows up, you're like, no, this is love. I don't want you to go through what I went through. Well, good. Then forgive it so it won't dictate how you parent. Don't let it rule you. Then you won't rule by it. All right. Wasn't Jesus smart? He said forgive. It's amazing. It's just amazing how far-reaching. It's like somebody had this great idea. Oh yeah, it was the God man. Okay, yeah. So, but here's another one. Dads. Dude, I'm just gonna suck it up. I don't have to feel this right now. I can't feel it right now because everything will fall apart. Okay, I'm just gonna suck it up, dude. Unemotional. We're gonna handle this. We're just gonna let it go. We're gonna keep moving. Gonna keep solving the problem. And guess what? Some of the dudes are like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you don't, man, that's amazing. So most men, how we deal with things is how, because we compartmentalize. And man, I could talk about this for 3 hours, which me and Zach did actually recently. What happens is however we motivate ourselves, we will motivate others. If I'm afraid to deal with something in my heart, I will condemn that in those I steward. Because I don't want to deal with it. And if they're around me, I have to deal with it. I'm telling you guys, this goes really deep. This is why it's so important to not play the victim. It's not poetic, and it's definitely not heroic to, actually, well, it might be poetic, but it's not heroic. There's some crappy poems out there, y'all. Okay, so it's not heroic. It's not of a higher moral or ethical or heavenly place to make little of yourself.
Yep.
I know I'm speaking to people in this room right now.
Stop talking to me, Brian.
La la la. Yeah. Love you, dude. Dean, that video I sent you was prophetic. I really think it's prophetic. For me and you, which is why I sent it to you. I want to share deep places of the human experience. Places that are never, ever talked about. Because that's where Jesus lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's like we're skirting the city. There's like a wall around. We're like, all right, dude, Jesus, you stay in there. And the city's called my heart. Okay, you stay in there. I'll stay out here. We got it. But the problem is that there's life in there and things are happening. How many of you ever heard, look, you got to forgive because when you buried that pain, you buried it alive. You ever heard that? Okay, I don't know what you would do if you were buried alive, but I'd be clawing my way out at any second. And that's exactly what that stuff does, and it leaks out on other people. You know the people that we know, I know it sounds like I'm talking about psychology, but I'm actually using this as a platform to talk about what I want to talk about. Okay, so, all right. You know those folks, you might be one of them, where the littlest thing bumps you, and you're like, and you freak out on somebody. You just, that's what it looks like in the spirit. Okay, so, and that's how it feels. Yeah, sometimes the natural. Caleb's, and sometimes you just freak out. You know what I'm saying? You said something that's a 2, and they respond like it's a 10.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. You know, this wasn't some horrific death-dealing thing that happens in the middle of wartime in trench warfare or something. I just asked, hey. And then I asked something, or you suggested something, or that. But here's the deal. The more you have buried alive down there, the more you're putting resources to dealing with that and keeping that in check and making sure it doesn't hurt anyone or anything.
Yep. So good.
But the point, though, isn't to have it inside there, holding onto it.
Yes.
We don't want to make a zoo of all that stuff.
Yes.
Let them out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's messy.
Yep.
I'm going to give some of you permission. I'm prophetically speaking. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'm prophetically speaking right now. Some of you think, in fact, can we just close our eyes for a second? If you're filming, just trust your hand goes to the same place. Just close your eyes, please. Every single person. I'm actually looking around making sure that all of y'all's eyes are closed, because this is a very personal moment here, okay? I want you to hear what I'm saying. Hear this. You think that if you finally let it all go, and you finally allowed yourself to cry, and you finally allowed all that emotion to come out, you would hurt people. You won't. You won't hurt people. It's the most loving thing you can do, even if it's anger, even if you're crying, even if you look out of control, even if you feel weak. That is the best place you can go, with people you know you trust around you. And if you don't have any, well, if you're here, you know you do. If you're new, keep coming. Okay, you can open your eyes. You know what's amazing about finally breaking down and crying? You know what? One thing that crying does that we take for granted? It's exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have energy in 20 minutes to be all like pissed off and throwing stuff around the room and stuff. You're too tired. Just hold me. You know, it's like that's all you got.
It's true.
We think it's going to turn like this tirade or something. We think we're going to hurt all these people. There are safe people that if we prepare them, we say, listen, I'm about to freak out. Don't push me, man. I'm about to lose it. You know what I love to do? It's okay. Tap, tap, tap. I love you. Tap, tap. You know this. You know I love you. Tap, tap, tap. Hey, you guys, come here. They know you love them. Come here. They're going to freak out. You know, I'm being exaggerative. But what I'm trying to say is I don't actually do that. You're safe from that. But in the spirit, I do.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Sam, you had an amazing breakthrough 5 days ago.
It was
Huge.
the biggest breakthrough this year.
I know. Like huge breakthrough. Which I'm preaching on that very thing, part of that tonight. It's not your experience,
Yeah,
but okay.
it's good. You in for sure.
All right, yeah. No, I got it. I might. Do you mind if I share about it?
You can share whatever you want.
Freaking great. All right. I knew you'd say yes, but I'm still going to ask because it's honor. So now I'm getting into the deeper places of the heart, right? Maybe it's uncomfortable a little bit, what I'm talking about. If we own it. What I want to say is let the deeper places you let these things go. The deeper you let them go, let me start over.
You got this. You got this.
As deep as you let these things go, they will go that deep.
It's true.
Think about what I just said. The places you allow this to go, it will. Allow it to go. There. Please. For the sake of everyone you love and for you. And for the sake of understanding God Himself. Allow this to go there. Okay? You are surrounded with people who care about you. You are. I mean practically at this moment as I'm talking. You are. Even if they don't know you, you are surrounded by people who care about you. Deeply care about you. I know at least a third of this room that would take a bullet for you. It would. You may have never had that in your life, but you do right now. You do. Somebody the other month, asked me, like, dude, would you take a bullet for somebody? I'm like, I would take a bullet for anyone. And they're like, what? I don't think you understand the question. I'm like, I don't think you understood the answer. Because
That's good.
life is so precious. It's so precious. It's so valuable. That's why God made it last forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why waste it? Why waste it? You know, one of the greatest words God ever gave me, I will carry this forever. Emotional courage equals faith. Or at least, emotional courage is the only place faith can live. The more places that we are choosing cowardice, you might use the word resistance, it's the same thing, to places of our own heart, are places that we're illegalizing faith in that place. Do you want to have breakthrough or conquer those places? Raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, then I'm going to quote Chris Valentin. You will never conquer anything you refuse to confront. It will never happen. Okay, moving on. So there's this beautiful thing that God's been doing. I didn't know Nora was going to say that. I really didn't. Like, it's not so awkward for me because I'm just like, I'll take it. Like, hand it to me. You know, just give me the words of affirmation. I'll take it. Lately, I'd say the last 2 years, I've been really good at receiving, whether it's correction, whether it's compliments, anything in between, even accusation. I think it's a really good place because the more I know the grace of God and the more I know that He is advocating for me and who I am in Him, it doesn't depend anymore on what other people think of me. But you know the curious fruit of that revelation is? I'm more gentle with people. I'm less defensive. Because there's a counterfeit of that. It's I don't care what people think.
Right.
I actually deeply care what people think. It just has nothing to do with my identity.
Right. Amen.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. Care deeply what people think about you. It might have nothing to do with your identity and everything to do with valuing them and where they're at.
Good. Super good.
What are you going to need to walk that out? Emotional courage. Okay, let me hear. What are you going to need if you're going to walk that one out?
Emotional courage.
Great, we're going to kind of run through a couple of these. Okay. You know what? You want to just come up and give that testimony? Is that okay? What happened?
Oh, you're just Sean dying. So.
It's fine. He's I don't want to get in the way. Fine. It's fine. It's fine. So Katie and I took Sam to a really incredible Japanese place called Akebono. It's off of Freeport in Sacramento. Really good. It's not sushi or ramen. I mean, they have sushi and ramen, but it's not like a sushi place or ramen place. It's like Japanese food. It's good, right? It's amazing. Eric, it's great, right?
It's really
Yeah.
good.
Okay. And they got a Japanese bakery next to it. Okay, I digress. Off of the commercial. So we took him there, and we had some really good food. And then afterwards, we took him to Gunther's Ice Cream, which is really good, right?
Best
Highly
ice cream.
recommend it. Okay. Yeah, some raspberry chocolate chip. Oh.
Lemon custard.
Oh. Okay, so good. All right. It was that good. That's how I felt. And, Okay, we're sitting there, and as we're in the car driving, we're just talking. He's talking. It seems like it's just this chill conversation, and all of a sudden, God just drove off the freeway overpass, just right into ethereal, just went right into the spirit, and not our actual car, but the conversation, and so you got to somebody, you got to tell a few people in here that's actually okay. So they're like, oh, awesome. So anyway, we pull off. The conversation. We're still driving to the ice cream place. And something showed up. And it's this. All of us, as we are walking in this place of fear and protection and control, and and each of us have our own places. Okay? None of us are Enoch. Okay? Each of us have our places that God has just happened on. And sometimes, and some of us have already invited Him in, and we're just not perfect in it, and that's fine. That's what grace is for. There's no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Jesus despises shame. He went to the cross despising the shame. He is all over us, just boldly coming into His presence at any moment and just staying there forever. And even when we would say, oh my goodness, this makes sense, or I don't want to deal with this, and we get and do something totally crazy and just way outside of the kingdom, He's just as in love with us in that moment. He is. This is how it works. We're unpunishable in the blood. And if you think I'm saying that we all just get to sin all the time, we should, then you don't understand the grace of God. And that's okay. I would highly recommend picking up this book called The Exposition of Chapter 3 and 4, Atonement and Justification by Martin Lloyd-Jones, Romans. Okay. Anyway, I think all of us do understand that, but that's for the peeps. So what happened is the place in Sam that was protected from being hurt in his past, even abused in his past. What that did is it created a place in his heart that it made it okay, and this is for all of us because we can all relate. Don't let this be about Sam. Think about this for a second. I'm just giving a real world example that only happened a week ago. What happened is we're talking, and I said, you will, as long as you're dishonoring your heart, you'll dishonor other people. He said, yeah, but I don't do that. Then me and Katie very gently said, well, you do actually sometimes. Now, I respect and honor Sam like crazy. Okay, you know that. How many of you think Sam is freaking amazing even after what I just said? Okay, great. That was for you. Okay, that was for Sam. Okay, grace. That's what it's all about. Grace and mercy. This isn't about being perfect. Sorry, we had diamonds falling a year ago here, and so whenever, literally, they're in my sock drawer. And whenever I see like a piece of glitter, I'm like, ooh, is that one? And I won't stop looking. I from now on, I just, even on the street, because it was amazing. Okay, so what happened is he goes, I don't do that. I don't dishonor people because I dishonor my own heart. And then we're all, well, you do actually in some ways, but you don't see them, and everyone around you loves you, and they're just covering you in it. And he's like, huh? You know. And then God told me to start telling him sentences, and I was like, now Katie thinks, because we're just chilling. Katie's like, dude, we're going to ice cream, man. Like we're just talking like how we always talk, you know. And then all of a sudden, I was like, hey Sam, you need to honor your heart the way other people honor your heart. You need to be able to honor your heart the way God honors your heart. You need to come into agreement with him regarding your own heart. Now, then Katie's like, yeah, and then I was like, hold on a second, wait, I'm sensing a moment here. I need to say this again. And as soon as I said it again, it was like, and all of a sudden it's inescapable. It's too deep now. It's too deep. And I know that. I could sense it in the car because, well, not because, but, and you immediately started like hysterically crying. It was really beautiful. And I could tell that there was a holy moment happening. So what am I gonna do? Well, that's awkward. Hey man, what kind of ice cream do you want? Like, no, we're just gonna let it stay, like as long as it needs. Let God have his perfect work in this moment, and it's more important than ice cream. That's really good ice cream, but it's really important. And so I'm driving around a little bit. We pull into the little cul-de-sac, like around the corner a little bit from Gunther's. Please go to Gunther's Ice Cream. Go to Gunther's Ice Cream. It's really good. Yeah, I'm pointing it to the camera. It's right there. And we sat there for about 30 minutes and really explored the ramifications of what this means and the things he had gone through and the places he never even thought he would even have permission to look back on.
Wow.
Yeah, right? And he starts mourning his lack of honoring his own heart.
Yeah!
Isn't that amazing?
Oh!
That's healthy. That's beautiful. That's kingdom. When you can love your own heart the way you would love someone else that had been abused and neglected for years.
I want to go to ice cream with you and Katie.
I'd like to go to ice cream with you too. That wasn't planned though. Okay, so yeah. I want to say that what happened that night, it touched Katie and I too. It did, man. Because it's not like I'm like all stellar perfect, you know what I mean? Just cosmonaut, man. Just dwelling in the perfect, bro. No, like, especially lately, things have been coming up for me, and familial things, like things that I never had permission to deal with until a family member started dealing with it, and it sucked me into the vacuum of emotion because I've just been holding it down for what's true, and all of a sudden that shows up, and all of a sudden I'm feeling things that I would have felt when I was 6. But I never had permission to do that because I was the one holding it down for an addict. And now this addict is talking sober. I don't just mean like I'm sober. I mean talking sober. Like things people say when they're not ruled by that. And all of a sudden I'm like, ooh! And I'm like thinking things for the first time in my life about this person. And it's my dad. And for the first time ever. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I'm feeling all raw. Like I have 1 layer of skin instead of 7. Like I have road rash everywhere. Like I just want to eat food and check out and watch video games or watch movies and play video games maybe and I don't know, like just do anything so I don't have to deal with it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna fast. I need to deal with this because I don't want to bury that.
Right.
I guess it was down there the whole time, obviously, or it wouldn't have shown up now. Okay, well then let's keep this up here. Like, God, I'm with you in this. I'm not in a desperate, alone place in this. I'm with you in this. What do you say about me in this? What do you say about my dad in this? You know what's crazy? It's been 2 weeks, and already I'm like, wow. Not even like an emotionless place, in a very whole place. This really hurts. It's really sad. At the same time, it's really incredible, and I'm really grateful, and God is like just in the very middle of it, telling me who I am and just holding me the whole time. I'm just like, this is incredible. I'm gonna go surfing soon. I just bought a really amazing kite. I'm just like, let's do this. I'm enjoying my life. This doesn't have to derail my life. It's a part of my life.
Right.
Just because I didn't want to see it doesn't mean it's new. It's always been here. Like, you know those movies where people wake up and they're just new? They don't remember all the stuff they did? I love those movies. It's a Wonderful Life, About Time, Family Man. There's all these movies where people get second chances. Born Identity. I'm not kidding. I wasn't Born Identity. Like, this is the gospel. People are like, what are you? This is like an assassin killing. What are you talking about? He gets a second chance, and he gets to choose his new life. And anyway, you want to stoke me out? Find a redemptive movie where someone got to choose what was better over what isn't, no matter how poetic or beautiful the other thing might have quote unquote been for film.
Yesterday.
I love it. Yeah. So, what's happening here in my own heart now, and what happened there? You helped that process. Just want to let you know, man. Your courage in that moment.
Yeah.
And he didn't let it go. He mined that. He didn't just eat the little chicken. He's like sucking the marrow out of the bones. There's no tendon. Sorry, vegetarians. And they're all, okay, so, whatever. Sorry, not sorry. So, okay. So now, what is the seat of the soul? I like to call it God's throne. The place of our heart that he dwells in, the place in our heart that he lives. He lives there. And if something shows up you weren't looking at, or you weren't ready to see, quote unquote, or because if you can see it, you're ready. Because God will never give you more than you can handle. That's in Corinthians. He's never going to do that. That means that there is grace upon grace upon grace for you to handle it with him, not in spite of him. Most of us can't handle things without the Lord. And that's what we're actually saying. I can't handle this. Don't put a period there. Without the Lord. Period. It'll inform what you're saying. If you think you can't handle something, you think you're not with the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You're like, Brian, that's too poetic. That's actually not true. No, it actually is. Really. Now, sometimes it might take a certain amount of perspective or reminding, but it's still true. How many of you have seen The Patriot? Patriot? Oh, I love that movie. I love that movie for a couple different moments in it. I mean, Sam just saw it. How many?
Like a month ago.
It's not like I'm like chilling with Sam every second. It just so happens to have two stories. Not like I would mind. I'm just saying this. Okay. I used to use this analogy when I'm preaching on the fear of the Lord, but I'm going to use this analogy in how much you're actually safe you just didn't know. You remember when Mel Gibson's character, Benjamin Martin, his son is killed in front of him by English soldiers, and he was ready to stay out of the war the whole time. I'm out. I'm good. And they burn his house down after killing his son, and they're taking his other son away in shackles to hang him. And the son they killed was trying to save his other son from being put in shackles, even though there's like 50 English soldiers. It's the courage of this young man. He's like 13 or 12. And he like breaks away and he's like, no. He's like, run! He's like trying to say this heroic act. And then he gets shot in the chest by this man that just no feeling. And then as the boy is fallen and his father's holding him, even the man's like, stupid boy. I mean, there's a lot there, okay? What happens next, though, for those of you that remember this movie and those of you that don't, they burn his house and they ride away, just letting him sit there holding his dead son. And the rest of his children are there. And most dudes love this part. Because it's like, I mean, women love it too, but when I watch that with women, they're not cheering, okay? He's like, Catherine, hold him. And like puts his head down on the ground And he goes, he's like, stay here. And he walks into the burning house, and he walks upstairs, and he's not even like paying attention to the flames. He's like, okay. And he comes in, and like he opens his thing, and he pulls out his little tomahawk, and he pulls out the stuff, and he gets the gunpowder, and he gets the guns, and he like walks back out, and he's just like matter of fact. He's like, Samuel, so-and-so. He's like, okay, we're gonna come. And he like tells the little kids, I want you to hide in the bushes. When it comes night, if we don't come back, I want you to go to your Aunt Catherine's. And he's like doing this whole thing, and then he's like, let's go. And he gives one rifle each to his like 5-year-old and his like 8-year-old. And they're running through the woods. And he's got 2 guns, and they got a gun, and they're running through the woods, and they're going through all these creeks and stuff because they're cutting off this troop of Englishmen. And he comes up and he's like, okay, this is a good spot. He's like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take care of the officers first and work your way down. And then he looks over, and they're just like, you know what I mean? It's, the last 20 minutes of their life has been the worst moments of their life. And all of a sudden he's like, boys, what did I tell you about shooting? He doesn't say, are you okay? There's no time. He's like, what did I tell you about shooting? And they both say it at the same time. Aim small, miss small. He's like, aim small, miss small. He's like, boys, steady. And then he's out, and you're like, okay. And so these boys are like, okay, we got this. And so like, and he's like, you shoot first, and then you reload for your brother. And he's out. So then this guy proceeds to take out 20 of these people. And by the time it's done, there's only one guy left, and the guy's trying to get away. And he throws a hatchet into the guy's back. He runs up. He's like, and he starts wailing on this guy. And pretty soon now he's taking out all of his aggression. He starts yelling, and I mean, it's not a human anymore. And he just keeps going. Well, finally he turns around and he looks up, and for the first time ever, the kids that had been accusing him of being a coward and a war dodger and a non-patriot realize, for the first time ever, who this one they've been around their whole lives actually is. That is the kind of reminder that God brings to us every once in a while. I am your friend, but I'm not just your friend.
So good.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
So good.
he's not just somebody that you go roller skating with. He likes going roller skating with.
Isn't that the kind of dad that everyone wants?
Because we sense that that's who our Heavenly Father is. Exactly. Isn't that the dad everybody wants? Guys, this is the guy that kills people. Seriously. Like, God is the one who wreaks vengeance on nations. He's the one that is coming. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but before the book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ was written, all we knew about Jesus is he was this very gentle, amazing guy that, I mean, sure, he had that one moment in the temple, but besides that, he might call some Pharisees vipers every once in a while, but he's pretty chill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's pretty chill. He's very gentle. He's like sitting with people, whatever they're going through. Everybody won't talk to him or touch him. He's touching them. He's talking to them. He's just in. And then he shows up on the island of Patmos and gives John the Beloved the full story. Hey, bro, I know you know me as like the sweater vest, decaf, sitting in a taxi, like listening to Elton John, like just chilling out, doing some macrame. Like, I know that's who you think I am. And you know what? I love macrame. Rocket Man, pretty cool song. I made that sweater, but you know what? That's not who I'm coming back as. Because I'm pissed and I'm jealous. And my bride is such that nothing will stop me from avenging her.
Yes.
How many of you know that he came to bring vengeance? You know that?
Yeah.
3 of you did. I know that some of you are just slow on the hand, It's like, I know. You don't have to be so fast. Okay. Yeah. Who me? Yeah. All right. I know. It's funny. Now, I have this list of all the reasons why Jesus came. At least all the places the Bible said Jesus came for or came to do. There's a lot here. I'm not going to get into it. I would just love it if when you get home or whatever, you would look through this. This is going to really illustrate who's on your side. Who's living in your heart. You know, you're in him and he's in you.
Right.
You know, when Paul said, we did not come with eloquent words, but in demonstrations of power.
Yes.
Right? Now listen, sometimes we'll be just talking and demons will leave people in this room, and they have to leave quietly. You haven't seen a full-on embarrassing, nasty manifestation in here yet. You know why? Because they're not allowed.
Right.
Because you know who's up in here? There's a whole other thing going on in the spirit with Kairos. It just is.
Sure.
And so, look, I know people that commune with demons. Now, at this point, they would say, that's when I'm at a weak point or a low point. But they still do. And you know what they say? No, there's some rooms in Kairos where that just stuff's not allowed. I mean, no, I don't mean like theory. I mean like the people like, dude, this won't work. I want to let you know that you're somewhere special.
Yeah.
Now, this room has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Okay? It's y'all.
Right.
It's like a really good t-shirt. It's y'all.
I'll text you.
Thank you. So you know what's going on. Okay. Because you want to have a t-shirt company. It's y'all. There's places in the spirit that you operate in that you don't know about.
Yep.
And the places that fight those things are the places you think you're alone in protecting yourself. I'm going to say that again. There's things you operate in the spirit that are super potent that you don't know about. And the things in you that fight those things are the places that you think you need to protect yourself alone.
Yeah.
Did you get it? So, emotional courage. You guys, that's the door. That's been the door this whole time. It's never going to end. Emotional courage. Acclimate to emotional courage. Acclimate to it. Emotional courage is your friend, not your enemy.
Yeah.
In fact, the only enemies of your soul hate your emotional courage.
Shut up.
So good.
Right? Curiously, we resist and fear the very things that will kill resistance and fear. Curiously, we resist and fear the very things that will kill resistance and fear. Because fear and resistance have a language and they're using it. They demand your allegiance. They demand it. So what I would say is kick it in the neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just get it. How do we do that? It's when it gets ugly. It's when it gets unnerving. It's when someone is talking to us about something that we don't want to talk about because it's going to cost us too much. Go there. Yeah, but you know what? If I go there, I'm going to freak out. And if I freak out, like, I'm not going to go work tomorrow. If I don't go to work tomorrow, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my... It's like, just one thing at a time. Just go there. Just go there.
Yeah.
Variable change is where breakthrough happens. Variable change is where breakthrough happens. You know the, I mean, is this good? Is this good? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. It's like he's not speaking expositorily. Did you know that did you know that Jesus didn't preach expositorily? He was on top of it.
Don't know what that means.
Expositorily is when you open up the Bible and you say exactly what Paul was saying verse after verse, line by line.
You're just saying what you hear your father saying, so I guess it's the same.
What? Yes! Okay, so, but you guys, Jesus didn't speak expositorily. He brought a topic and brought scripture to back it up. I'm not saying it's wrong to speak expositorily. In fact, this is an exposition. I don't know if you've ever seen this book before, but it's an exposition on Romans chapter 3 and 4. It's really, really good. I value it. It's just, you do what you need, you know what I mean, in the moment. Okay, how many of you remember, young folks, you probably won't remember this, unless you watch a lot of YouTube, and maybe even then you won't know, the show Let's Make a Deal. Raise your hand if you know what that is. Okay. Young people are like, okay, just crickets. Okay, but, so do you remember at the end of Let's Make a Deal, there was 3 doors? I want you to hear this. This is about math, you'll love it.
I know the answer.
You're a math teacher, I would hope so. Okay, so, yeah. He's all, I know this reference. You have 3 doors, don't ruin it. You guys have 3 doors. There's a car behind one of them, and the other tune is a zonko or whatever the heck they call it.
Donkey. It's a donkey.
Yeah, but they call it something else, like a zonko or something. It's like funny. It's like wah, wah, wah. Yeah, that thing. Okay, that's where they get it. All right, you know, like here comes Debbie Downer, and it's like wah, wah, wah. They get that from that show. Okay, so what would happen is there's 3 doors. And the guy comes up and he's like, hey, you got a car behind there. And they're like, that's great. And he's like, which one are you going to choose? And they're like, I don't know. And they're like, well, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to remove one of those doors. And they do it. It's like, wah, wah, wah. And it's the thing. Now you only got 2 left. We'll give you $5,000 right now. Or you can choose one of those 2 doors. But if you get a zonko or whatever, you get nothing. You know what's crazy is the majority of people take the money because they don't know the following. Variable change. That is where the greatest opportunity is. Did you know? Okay, don't say anything. And if you know the answer, don't say anything. What percentage of probability do you have of picking the right door after he hands you the money? Per door? 0% probability? No, I'm sorry. Whoa, sorry. That's good. That's actually, I should have said that first. That's brilliant. Thanks, John. Yeah, okay, what probability do you have of finding the right one if you take the money? 0. If you don't take the money, what probability do you have in picking the right one with 2 doors left? It's 66%.
Who said that?
It's 66%.
We have a winner.
It's 66%.
It is.
You have a greater chance of choosing the right one.
Three. Go 3.
I'm not going to get into math, and I'm not going to have you get up and show it, but I will say this much. Go on YouTube. What is it called? Is it
Vsauce.
what?
Vsauce.
Spell it. Like visas? Like plural of
Vsauce.
Oh, V dash
Well,
sauce.
this is 6 all one word.
Fine, Vsauce, but V sauce, like the sauce that you pour on stuff.
Yeah.
Great. I want you guys to go on YouTube and watch enough videos so that starts to filter in and you start to understand it. It took me like 5 or 6 times of watching that before I realized it's not 50%. Now, I'm not going to give you the answer because it's math, and to be perfectly honest with you, I now know it's true, but I've already forgotten why, and I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
The point is this. It still works.
Yeah.
Some of you don't know how a transmission works, but you still drive your car. Right?
That's right.
He's, I drive the crap out of my car. He's all dang straight, I drive my car. So here's the deal. This is what to look for. How do you have emotional courage? How do you steward your heart? How do you honor your heart? How do you get to the point where you love your heart as much as you love someone else that's gone through things? How are you so desirous to save your own heart with Jesus, not in spite of him? That you would be to save someone caught in sex trafficking or an abusive relationship or any number of other horrible things. How do you do that? How do you get to that point? I'm not saying what is it. We already talked about that. How do you get to that place? How do you find the door to walk through that will send you toward that place? 2 words. Variable change. Look for it. Look for it. You guys, I don't know if you remember this, but like there was a moment in time, it still happens, you guys. This is the church to get rid of your food allergies for real. They get healed. They get healed like that. They're just not allowed here. Number 2, you are, but your food allergies have nothing to do with you because they're not yours. So number 1, those go away. Number 2, chronic illnesses go away. And what I love though is people get promoted. They just do. Because we know that Jesus loves to get breakthrough in our hearts. That's the point. It's not a love of mammon, but make friends with unrighteous mammon. I quoted Jesus. Okay? Don't serve it, but make it your friend. Bring it under submission. Let money work for you, don't work for it. Right? Okay. A little side thing there. That was new for some of y'all. Okay. So, how many of you remember there was a moment in time where literally one person would, at least at Kairos, was getting fired a week? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, some of you do. You guys, people would come and they're like, dude, they told me I got fired. And I was like, awesome. And then I get on the mic, I'm like, hey, you guys, this person got fired. And everybody's like, yeah! And they're like cheering. Do you know why? Because week after week, somebody would get fired, and then they would get words that before getting fired, look, God's about to promote you, and they get fired. And guess what? The variable change, and all of a sudden they emerged out of it promoted. Variable change. Just like you cannot conquer something you will not confront. Right? Because that's true.
Yeah.
With variable change, you can't expect, you will never taste something out of the ordinary unless you're pulled out of the ordinary. I want to live a supernatural life, brother. Great! You know what super means? Super means above, superseding, ruling, outside of. I want to live a supernatural life. You know what that means? It means you need to rule the natural. It means it needs to supersede the natural. It needs to be above the natural. So many times, though, and this is the trick. This is the trick. I'm actually almost done. But this is the trick. I know. Amen. Praise the Lord. Yeah. For those of you who don't know the joke, it's funny. Okay, so yeah. So okay. Yeah. I know. You thought it was getting too rough for me. So at a certain point, where we need to go with all this, guys, variable change. You know what we do with variable change most of the time? We think that we put it in the wrong category, but it's actually in the afraid category. We think it's wrong, but we're just afraid. That's not the definition of wrong. You know what the definition of wrong is? It doesn't accord with heaven. That's it. How many of you know that people have gotten fired according to heaven? Cool. How many of you know that people have actually, their cars have broken down according to heaven? Right? Now, I'll say this a different way, because I mess around with that whole ordained sickness thing. But I will say this much. How many of you know that you've seen crazy moves where heaven shows up in the physical, in the visible, in the taste, touch, see realm, and has become our tutor to understand the character of God and in the midst of sickness?
Yes.
Okay. Variable change. If you could change one thing about your life today, I would say embracing variable change is probably more important than that thing. I mean, yeah, sure. Love, okay. You know what I mean? Okay, God, we all know 1 Corinthians 13. Okay, what I'm trying to say, though, is I'm something new. Something that hasn't been experimented with or tried or put as a filter on the life. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Embracing variable change isn't more important than love. All right? That's not what I'm saying. Okay. Embrace variable change. Some of you have business opportunities. I knew that I was talking to at least 6 people when I prophesied this, and only one of y'all called me. Embrace variable change. Take the things out of the some days and put them into the variable change place. Experiment with it. Your life will change. And you know what will happen? You'll make new synaptic pathways in your brain. You'll remember other things better. A whole bunch of stuff will start happening. I'm going to tell you how to do baby steps. You want some baby steps?
Yeah.
Anybody want some baby steps? If you're right-handed, brush your teeth with your left hand for the next week. If you're left-handed, brush your teeth with your right hand the next week.
Start memorizing random sets of numbers.
Well, hold on. let me get them. Just hold on a second. It's true, but just let me, because there's other things for that too.
Sound more fun.
Start learning the letters of another language.
Good.
Just start. I'm picking up Japanese, so if you guys want to do that, great. You know, those of you who know me a lot, know me a long time, know me a lot, I don't think that works. It just sounds kind of strange. Those of you that have known me for a long time, know me a lot. Those of you that have known me for a long time know this. I'm always learning something.
Yep.
Amen.
You know why? Because it's like, because you're a dad. It's because what that does, it enriches the other things I already know. And not in the ways you'd expect. It changes your brain. It makes new pathways. This is how I'm always connecting things that normally wouldn't be connected. This is how I can help businesses do what they do. This is why I can do that. I'm really good at seeing businesses with products that they take for granted on why people like them. I'm really good at that. Why? It's not because I studied that. It's just because I'm constantly learning and my hands in all sorts of stuff, and I'm mining value in all these different places. But you know what else that does? Is it trains me to embrace variable change. It helps me. And I just mean very practical. I mean, you want to get mystical for a second? Good. Check this out. Get into that place with the Lord where you know you could be in for hours once you're there, and stay there. You want to get another practice on something to remove? Tell everyone in all your social media platforms you will be exiting for 30 days.
Come on.
That's it, just 30 days, not 30 years, 30 days.
Or don't tell them.
It's better if you tell them. It's better if you tell them. Because if you tell them, they can help you and support you in it. You can ask for prayer, you can do that whole thing. The reason I recommend that is because you will actually be only doing one thing at a time. You'll be doing something at 100% instead of 6 things at like 20 or 30% of your when you're doing each one at a time. Some of y'all think you're good multitaskers, and you just aren't. You just aren't. You really aren't. You know you're at your best when you are single-minded in one thing. You know what another word for single-minded is? Dove's eyes. Dove's eyes. It's in Song of Solomon. My beloved, you have dove's eyes. You're only looking at one thing at a time, and right now you're looking at me. And it's in that scripture where he goes on to say, with one look of your eyes, you've ravished my heart. Dove's eyes. One of the reasons I tell people during our studies, or just in general, whenever we have the Bible, is get a paper Bible, because a paper Bible won't text you.
Or if it did, that'd be awesome.
It wouldn't, actually.
No, the word of the Lord. You know.
I just want to stay with what I'm saying. I want to weaken what I know what you're saying, but So a paper Bible won't text you. A paper Bible, that's all is happening. And so these are things that will acclimate you to variable change. I'm serious. Just for a week. Brush your teeth with the other hand. Download an app on your phone and learn, letters of a different language. I recommend Japanese just because I am, and it'd be fun. But whatever. Learn some Russian. There's more Russians in this area than any other place in the United States, Sam can help you out. He's got your back.
I'd love to.
He would. He actually would love to. But more than anything else, okay, I'm landing the plane now. I'm landing the plane. It's 7:30. It's not 8:30. Isn't that amazing? All right, I'm landing the plane. I never got to my actual message I wrote down, but you got the notes. Okay, it's a little freebie. Okay, I'm landing the plane here. What I've talked about the whole time is honoring something as Jesus honors it. It's seeing something as valuable as Jesus values it. Your own heart.
Come on.
You never want to fight Jesus. And you never want to be against something that Jesus is for.
Yep.
And he is absolutely for your heart. He died for it. So, I'm going to pray. Is there communion up in there somewhere? This is like the perfect time to take communion. Yeah. So I'm going to pray, and we're going to do some communion. Is that good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Jesus, you have so many names that mean the same thing. Emmanuel, Manny for short. We'd have a hard time exhausting all of who you are through language. And God, who you are to us and what you have for us, whether we see it or not. What you've drawn us into, whether we see it or not. And what we have available to us, whether we see it or not. You've still given it to us, and it's still ours. God, and you guys, you can join me if you want, like in your own heart. But God, and you don't have to repeat after me. But God, I want to apprehend all of it. I want to apprehend everything that you died to procure for me. I want to be familiar with and use and even creatively use every single thing afforded me. I even want to experiment with things that others say that might not even be from you. Because I trust that you have me. I trust that you speak to me.
Yeah.
And that you want to strengthen my conscience so it's between me and you.
Yeah.
I don't need to defer myself to anyone else's conscience.
That's right.
Help me be in the place of safe in your arms, dangerous on all sides of the world, just relishing every lick of variable change. Mine it with me. Mine it with me. If that's y'all, just say amen. 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 Okay, this is what we're going to do. We do this every single week. And because we have new people, you get to hear the spiel on communion again. That's totally fine. So everybody, I need y'all on this side to get up and go that way. And I need all y'all to get up and go that way. And everybody's going to walk along that wall, come all the way around to the back side over here, and then you're going to grab communion from people standing right here. I need two people, one that has never held the bread and one person that's never held the wine. Awesome. We got Imogen, one more. Somebody that has never held the bread or held the wine. Anybody? I know there is. There it is. Eric, fantastic. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, you guys, as we're doing this, I want you to keep hearing. I want you to keep hearing with your ears. Yeah, and if you are visually impaired, you do not have to walk around the whole room, okay? I just want to say that. Okay, so, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Open. Freak out. Okay, you guys. As we're walking around, I want you guys to hear what is actually being said right now, especially if you've never been here. Communion is not for us to remember our sin.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say we have to remember our sin.
Right.
You will try in vain to find it. I'm serious. If you think that's what it says, please go home. And not right now. I mean, but go home and try to find that in the Word. All you will find is a very, very sketchy translation of what it actually says, but it's actually informed when it says, do not take communion in a wrong conscience. But more specifically, it doesn't even say that. It says discern the body and blood. That's what it says. You know how you take communion in a right conscience? You discern that it is the body and the blood. That's it. It actually goes into specifics. It says, though in the context of talking about how and why taking communion, it says those that have taken it in a wrong way, a wrong spirit. It's actually talking about those that would show up to these big Christian feasts and drink wine until they got drunk and eat as much bread as they could. And that's why he says, go eat food and then come. Paul was just getting really practical. So you guys, here tonight, we're taking communion. Number 2, it's a joyful thing.
Oh, yes.
We're eating the body and blood of Christ. This isn't it. I don't know if you know this, but Jesus is pretty stoked.
Yeah.
I'm serious. He's really stoked. I mean, he's pissed, but he's stoked. He's really mad, and at the same time, he's really stoked, okay? He's not mad at you.
Yeah.
He's not mad at you. He's a vengeful bridegroom. That's where his anger goes. It's righteous anger. So tonight, as we're taking communion, number 1, you hold on to your joy. You don't get rid of it. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to stop focusing on your sin. You know what Jesus' broken body and poured blood did? It puts your sin into the sea of forgetfulness for God himself.
That's right.
For us to remember it every time we eat his body and blood? Are you kidding? That makes 0 sense. And I'm not teaching something new, I'm teaching something old. And the last thing, John. He taught in one of the books of John. There's a reason why there are many sick among you, and even some have died. Because you have removed the place of taking communion and discerning the body and blood of Christ. There's a divine mystery here. This is why someone, at least one someone, every Saturday night gets healed of something when we take communion. I'm believing tonight because I've seen it too much. When you see something literally 200 times in a row, it's different. You know what I mean? Okay, so anyway, I know that Caleb has something, and so let's do this. Locked and loaded.
Good luck to me to do this right now. So wisdom is really fun. So we're going to come out of the bondage of thinking that it's not.
Hey, you guys, while he's doing this, I had this idea. Let's all of us stand on a chair.
Yeah, okay,
So we'll all be
so
higher.
good.
There's something about
So
that.
good.
Yeah. Everybody stand on a chair. Yes.
So it's really fun to experience communion intentionally. But what I mean by that is we just feasted together with the Word that was made flesh through a son who's walked out real relationship with his dad, and with his bridegroom, and with his friend, and with his teacher, and with his lover, and with his warlord.
Come on.
And in that way, we made a decision to say, yeah, I want to eat of that. But you cannot eat secondhand revelation. You'll throw it up.
Yeah.